Okay, video 1 from Unit 8, Lesson 8. This is our last real graphing video. We're going to graph the intercept form of a quadratic function. Okay, so this is what we call intercept form. The a value is still your a value. And then your intercepts are P0 and Q0. So this is also like factored form. Okay, so for example, this is intercept form. The a value is just 1. If we don't see a number in front, it's just 1. It's opening up. And it tells me that I have 2 x-intercepts, and one of those would be at 3, 0, and the other one would be at -1, 0. So whenever you see something here in parentheses, you're doing the opposite. Okay, so on a graph, you graph those 2 intercepts, so 3, 0, and -1, 0. Okay, so they're both on the x-axis, they're both x-intercepts. So I know my parabola has to go through them. So it's either going to go through them like this, or open down and go through like this. Since there is not a negative out front, I know it's going to open up. Okay, so let's find our vertex. Well, our vertex has to be halfway between these 2 points. So if I count the distance between these 2 points, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay, halfway would be 2. So right here. So my axis of symmetry is here. Okay? So my vertex has to be somewhere along this line. So I'm going to plug in this number here, which is 1. I'm going to plug in 1 for x and figure out what the y value is. So for the vertex, I have to plug in 1 for x. Okay, so I just type that in my calculator, and I get -4. So my vertex is right here. And let's pick some other point to plug in, just so I get 5 total points. Let's plug in 0. So we get -3. So right here, which means there's another point right here. And there's my parabola. So there's sometimes questions that say solve the quadratic equation by graphing. So our solutions are these 2 x-intercepts. So our solutions are x equals 3 and x equals -1, because that's where y is 0. And those are my 2 solutions for x, where it crosses the x-axis. Okay, let's look at another one. Okay, first thing I want to do is write the quadratic equation in intercept form and then graph. So if you notice, it's given to us in standard form. And intercept form is factored form. So what I have to do is I have to factor this. So factor. Alright, when I go to factor this polynomial here, we don't really like that negative out front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to factor out the negative first, which just means you change all the signs. Okay, and then factor to my two parentheses. So this negative just comes down. Okay, so multiplies to give you negative 12. We'll add to give you negative 4. Okay, so I think I'm going to use 6 and 2. We'll do negative 6 and positive 2. If we check our outer and inner, 2x minus 6x is negative 4x. Okay. Alright, so my equation in intercept form, that negative still out front, x minus 6, x plus 2. So that tells me my two x-intercepts are 6, 0 and negative 2, 0. Okay, so negative 2, 0 and 6, 0. Okay. Alright, well, we need to find our vertex. So our vertex, remember, goes through the axis of symmetry, which has got to be halfway between these points. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're 8 units apart. So halfway would be 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So right here. Okay, so my vertex is somewhere along this line. Because of the negative out front, I know it opens down. Alright, so my vertex is somewhere up here, but I want to plug in this point here, this x-coordinate, which is 2. Okay, I want to plug in 2 for x to find my vertex. Okay, so I'm going to plug it, you can plug it back into the original one if you want, or the factored one. Okay, so if I plug in 2, just work that out down here. Okay, so I have negative. I get 16, so it's somewhere up here. Let's plug in another point. Let's try 0. And I got 12. Okay, so that's about right here. And here. Okay. Okay. Well, so again, I'm sorry about my drawing, not very pretty, but this is what your parabola should basically look like. Opens down near this vertex here at 216. Okay, let's do Unit 8, Assignment 9.